And the Downtown Management District is working with Corpus Christi Police to make the downtown area a little safer. They hope to accomplish that with some new security cameras. 10 additional cameras like these will be installed along Chaparral, Mesquite, and Water Streets, some of the more populated parts of downtown. Money for the cameras comes from the management district's budget, paid for by the downtown businesses themselves. Police say the added security should help reduce the number of auto burglaries in that area.
People want to feel secure and they want to feel safe. We do have officers down there. We have enduros, we have bicycles, we have ATVs that are patrolling down there 7 days a week. But this is just another enhancement.
And police tell us the Downtown Management District will also be adding more street lights downtown as well.